Hello, Bengals fans, and welcome once again to another episode of Bengals in Paradise. I am your host, Chasten Scott, and let me just say, happy draft eve. It's under 24 hours away, and I am just so excited. I am so ecstatic for tomorrow, and I just can't wait for the draft to finally come. But we are under 24 hours away, and I'm going to have a hard time sleeping tonight. I'm going to just be honest. And in today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down the top players who I think are going to be on the tip top of the Bengals draft board. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to be giving my final prediction who I think will be the 17th overall pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. But before I dive into all that, if you guys like my content, can you guys please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel? Greatly appreciate everyone. Thank you. So let's dive into today's episode. And when it comes to the Bengals draft board, I see anywhere to like 6 to 7 players who I think are on the top of the Bengals board. And believe it or not, those 6 to 7 prospects who I have very high aren't any offensive players. I think when it's all said and done with this 17th pick, it's gonna wind up being a defensive player. I can't picture them drafting an offensive player, especially with all the needs that they need on the defensive side of the ball. So it's just a gut feel, but I personally believe that with the 17th pick, it's gonna be a defensive player. And when it comes to the 6 or 7 players that I'll be mentioning today, I honestly feel they could go any way. And that's what's exciting when it comes to this draft, because honestly, this year's draft, I honestly have no clue what the Bengals are going to do. They could go they could go any way they want about it, and that's exciting for a fan because it's hard to predict what they're going to do. We can shout out names and see, which prospect they have number one on their board, but it's all said and done, this Bengals team hired a, totally brand new defensive staff. And under Al Golden, us Bengal fans don't really know which route they'll be taking, which player they're, that they're eyeing. So that's what's exciting about this year's draft. But all that being said, I'm going to be discussing some of the players who I think will be high in the draft board, and would not shock me at all if they are the selection at 17. So let me start off with the trenches, starting with defensive tackle. There's 2 names that come to mind. Obviously, one that Bengal fans are very familiar with, and it's basically on everybody's mock draft, is Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, and the second defensive tackle is Derek Harmon from Oregon. Now, when it comes to Derek Harmon, I'm not too sure what's going to happen, honestly, because now there's smoke coming out in most recent that he has a shoulder injury that's been reported. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's all smoke screen stuff. But to me, Derek Harmon would be a perfect fit for this Bengals defense, and someone in the trenches that I think would make an immediate impact right away for this defense. He can stop the run, and he can rush the passer, and that's basically what Bengals are looking for, someone that can do it all. And Derek Harmon fits that mold. And to me, when I look at Derek Harmon, he's just a perfect AFC North defensive tackle, and I'll have no problem with him being a selection at 17. And I believe that Derek Harmon is high on the draft board, despite all the rumors circulating in the past 48 hours with his injury. But I think Derek Harmon is a prospect that Bengal fans should be paying attention to, and he's someone that I think is really, really high in the draft board. And moving along to the other defensive tackle is, Walter Nolan, everybody's, fan favorite. And with him too, there's the latest rumors with him is that he's not going to even pass pick 12. He could land anywhere from pick 8 to 12, top 10. And again, I don't know if that's all smokescreen stuff, or if people are just saying that because people might want to trade up to get him. I don't know, but for the sake of the argument, I'm gonna just say that Walter Nolan is gonna be available by the time the Bengals are on the clock. And for me, Walter Nolan is really, really high on the Bengals draft board. He just fits the mold for what Bengals are looking for when it comes to interior defensive line, and I feel like he's the perfect pick for when it comes to that position. And very young, and he's already coming in with really, really good at stopping the run, and he has a high ceiling when it comes to rushing the passer, and that's something that Jerry Montgomery can bring out the best of him, and developing his pass rushing skills. So we'll see. I feel like when it comes to Harmon and Nolan, they are very, very high on the Bengals draft board, and again, would not shock me at all if available that one of these two defensive tackles will be the selection at 17. And then moving along with edge rusher, I personally only see one particular player that I feel Bengals would have high on their draft board and they could possibly be targeting, and hopefully he's still there. There's rumors saying that he might go to 15 to the Atlanta Falcons, which would be sickening because it's just 2 picks away. But that all being said, that player is Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. Now, if you guys follow me and watch my previous videos, I stated that Mike Green is one of my draft crushes, and to this day that has not changed. I love Mike Green. It would be a home run pick personally for me if Bengals was to select him at 17. But I don't know what the character concerns, off the field stuff with that allegations. Now, he wasn't arrested. It didn't go any past further than an allegation. But I'm wondering if Bengals would overlook that and they'll be fine with that. Now, the reports came out said that the Bengals are fine with all that and they would select him if available. So again, we'll know for sure if that's just smoke or if that's real. And what's fascinating to me is in these last 48 hours, a lot of these draft analysis people that are doing their mock drafts as of recent all have Mike Green going to the Bengals. So that, to me, that's very interesting. I don't know if they know something that us Bengal fans don't know, and Mike Green could be number 1 on their board. We don't know. Time will be said. We'll find out tomorrow. But I have absolutely no problem with Mike Green being the pick, and I would love, to be honest, if he was the pick at 17, because just imagine him alongside Trey Hendrickson. That would just be a deadly dynamic duo, and it's something that I would personally love to see, and it would just be a nightmare for the opposing team, having Trey Hendrickson rush off the left side and having Mike Green rush off the right side. That would be a dream come true. So I would not be mad at that pick, and that's someone that I personally believe will be, again, high, very high on the Bengals draft board. Now, moving along to linebacker, there's, everybody knows there's only one linebacker for the first round, and if you guys follow me on X and again watch my content on YouTube, Jahad Campbell is number 1 on my draft board, and I am in love with Jahad Campbell. He is a true game changer, a playmaker, someone that can be a face for your defense for years to come, and he's someone that opposing teams would have to worry about. To me, he's a traditional linebacker that can literally do it all. He can rush the passer, he can cover, he has sideline to sideline speed. He's everything you want to look for when it comes to linebacker. The only thing is, his injury history. Will Bengals, be okay? Will they give him the green light and overlook that, or will they look at his injuries and say that he'll overcome that real soon and he'll be available come training camp and he'll be ready for week 1? I don't know. But all that being said, Jahad Campbell is my home run pick. He is my number 1 player on my draft board, and I'll just be through the roof ecstatic. I'll be lighting up my cigar if Jahad Campbell is the pick at 17, and he's the player that I want most for pick 17. And like I said, he will just uplift this team and he would elevate this defense. And we need someone besides Trey Hendrickson to have a difference maker on that defensive side of the ball, because the opponents, they only look at Trey Hendrickson as the only threat. We need at least a second threat on his defense, and I feel that Jahad Campbell is that perfect fit for Al Golden's defense. And he's a linebackers coach at heart, so why not draft Jahad Campbell if you guys give him the green light and you guys are okay with all that history, draft him. And I would, guys, I cannot state this, how much times I've always talked about Jahad Campbell. So I would love Jahad Campbell at pick 17, and I hope that's the case. And moving along with safeties, it's kind of like two of them as well, like with Nolan and Harmon. But with the safeties, I see Malachi Starks and Nick Amenwari being up there for the draft board. And again, just both natural leaders, both very instinctual, and I feel would make a true difference in the backfield. Someone that can communicate well, and someone can get the defense lined up properly. And I would not be opposed to having Starks or Amenwari as the picks at 17. Both safeties would make a true difference for this defense, and we're still looking for that next Jesse Bates, to be honest. And look no further than Starks and Amenwari, who I think would be perfect picks for this Bengals defense. And again, would not be shocked if that's the case, if one of them ends up being the pick at 17, and I will be happy when it comes to that. So when it's all said and done, I have 6 players who are on my draft board who I think were very high on the Bengals draft board, and that's Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Mike Green, Jahad Campbell, Malachi Starks, and Nick Amenwari. So that's 6 players who I think are very high on the draft board, and again, would not shock me if one of them is a Cincinnati Bengal come tomorrow night, and I hope that's the case. And with all that being said and done, my final prediction for who I think will be a Cincinnati Bengal at the 17th overall pick, guys, I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to pick Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. Now, personally, I don't know if he's going to be there, or I don't know if Nolan's there and Campbell's there, they'll probably take Nolan. But I am just going with who I want personally, and I'm just speaking it into existence. But I just hope and pray that Jahad Campbell is the pick. And do not get me wrong, with the other 5 players that I mentioned, I would be extremely happy if they're a Cincinnati Bengal. But Jahad Campbell is that one player that who I want most, and he is number 1 for me. And so I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to go with the 17th overall pick. The Cincinnati Bengals select Jahad Campbell. So that's my final pick, and that's my final prediction. And we'll see where it goes from there. We're less than 24 hours away. Anything can change. We could hear more rumors coming out. We can see more smoke, leaking out. At this time, it's real exciting because there's a lot of reports, a lot of rumors that come around especially during the draft time. So as of now, as of today, Wednesday, I am going with Jahad Campbell, and that's my pick at 17. And if that's the case, Holy Mother Mary of God, I will be so happy if that's the pick. And I just hope that the injuries are not a concern, and I hope that the injuries that he will overcome that. And the report said that he's clear of all those injuries, and he should report on the first day of training camp. So if all that is true, why not pick him at 17? And Bengals, you would not regret it. I truly feel he's the difference maker that this defense badly needs. And him alongside Logan Wilson, what a linebacker duo that would be. And like I said, he will make an immediate impact right from the get-go, and we need that coming from rookies because we have so much needs for this year that we need rookies to step up right away and make an impact. And Jahad Campbell, look no further, he will make an immediate impact. And to make more valid points onto why I think Jahad Campbell should be the pick at 17 is because when you guys look at this linebacker room, not linebacker room, but this linebacker depth in this NFL draft, there is a steep decline once Jahad Campbell is off the board in the first round and you got Carson Schlesinger in the second round. Once those two guys are drafted, it goes really down, and I could possibly see the Bengals looking at it where they could get the number one linebacker in this draft, and if not, there's going to be a steep decline on who you could get. And will you trust them possibly replacing Pratt? I don't know. If that's the case, might as well you keep Pratt. If you're drafting a linebacker in the 4th, 5th round, can you trust that prospect starting right away? I don't know. But when it comes to Jahad Campbell, you know he'll make an immediate impact. And once you draft Campbell, you could possibly already cut Jermaine Pratt this weekend. You already have his replacement, and it's just Jahad Campbell. So I personally think Bengals could be looking at it that way. And then another point is that Al Golden is a linebackers coach at heart, and he's a linebacker whisperer. He brings out the best in linebackers, so he knows what to look for when it comes to a linebacker. And I'm sure Jahad Campbell checks all those boxes that Al Golden looks for in a linebacker, despite the injuries, mind you. But Campbell is like the perfect prospect that Al Golden looks for when it comes to a linebacker. And another thing, I may get flack for this, I don't know, but when it comes to the Bengals defensive line room, there already has 4 players in that defensive tackle room, and that's TJ Slayton, BJ Hill, who are already the starters, and then you have backups Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson. So if you draft a Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon, who is he stealing snaps from? Because I know they love McKinley Jackson and they love Chris Jenkins, and they want to develop them. They want to give them more playing time. So if he was to draft a Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon, who is he stealing snaps from? And to me, Bengals fans, I hear you, I get it. We desperately need interior pass rush. I'm not arguing that, but this defensive tackle class is so deep that it's way deeper than the linebacker class. So why not, take one in the second round? There's TJ Sanders from South Carolina. There's a lot of Norman Lott from Tennessee you could possibly get from the 3rd, 4th round. There's a lot of prospects who I believe that can make an impact right away as a rookie, rushing the passer. Whereas with the linebackers, there's not really that much linebackers in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round that you guys could get that you could trust, starting right away. Excuse me, mind my flag, Logan Wilson. So time will tell on that. And that's all my valid points that I would like to make for when it comes to Jahad Campbell. That's why I feel, personally, Jahad Campbell will be the perfect fit and the perfect pick at 17. But time will tell. Like I said, tomorrow we'll find out. And other than that, Bengal fans, please drop a comment in this video and tell me your final prediction on who you think will be the pick when it comes to the Bengals selecting at 17. So please drop a comment and tell me your final prediction before tomorrow starts, who you think will be pick 17. And tomorrow I'll also be making my Bengals in Paradise episode for my first round pick reaction. I'll be reacting to who the Bengals select at 17, and I'll also be making another episode on Friday for the Bengals 2nd and 3rd round pick reactions. But until then, Bengal fans, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And we're here. Draft day is tomorrow. Can't get any better than this. I am so excited, and I know Bengal fans, you guys are excited as well. But until then, Bengal fans, have a good one, hoo day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.